What's up, everybody? It is Rat King Games and the Rat King himself here with you today. I'm going to do a channel first. We are going to do a Magic Standard profile. I found myself interested in Standard a little while back. I want something just a little bit more competitive. So what I did is I reached out to a couple friends and asked, well, what's really in the meta right now? I wanted something a little bit more budget friendly, especially it being my first Standard deck, and we ended up settling on one. So without further ado, here we go. Without further ado, here is my deck profile, and you're pretty much going to know what it is right off the rip. We're playing 4 Grand Grand. 4 Grand Grand tells you that we're playing Izzet Lessons. Lessons are huge, and with Grand Grand, every time we get more than 3 lessons in grave, we're going to discount all of our spells. Sorry, I got a little bit of a glare there, but we're going to discount all of our spells by 1. And that's really going to help us out with some of these. So we're going to start with the 4 Grand Grand. Next, we're going to have one of our best lesson cards. We're going to have Firebending Lessons. And Firebending is a 1-cost red, period, but it's going to hit something for 2, and if you kick it, it's going to hit something for 5. So depending on what's on the field, you're usually only going to use the normal effect. But that puts a lesson card in your graveyard, which we're going to need for Grand Grand. So. Up next, we have its big brother, Combustion Technique. So Combustion Technique is a 2-cost that is going to deal damage equal to 2 plus the number of lessons engraved. So the later in the game, the bigger this card gets. Just overall, a really good removal card, especially with stuff with like flying or just general problems. Arguably one of the best cards in the deck, if not the best, specifically for drawing. We're going to play 4 Accumulate Wisdom. What this card does is you're going to look at the top 3 cards. If you have less than 3 lessons engraved, if you have more than 3 lessons engraved, you're actually just going to add all 3 of those cards to hand. It's really good. It's a 2-cost at the beginning, but if you have a Grand Grand or some other stuff you'll see later, this goes down to just a 1-cost blue to draw 3. We're going to move to sorceries. I think I have a couple more instants, but sorceries in my hand right here, so we'll go on to those. For sorceries, I've got Iroh's Demonstration. This card is very, very good for removal. I've played Arena, and in Arena, sometimes you'll go up against some Goblin guys. And the guys playing Goblins all have 1/1 Goblins, right? Well, you cast Iroh's, and you're going to deal 1 damage to each creature. So all of those dozen 1/1 Goblins are now nothing. They're dust. They're dead. Or if they have a big problem, you can choose to deal 4 damage to 1 creature. So a lot of removal here. We're going to play 2 Boomerang Basics right now. This card I could see moving up to 3, but it's only a sorcery speed. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If I controlled that permanent, I get to draw a card. There's some things that we do with this, and I'm going to put this to the side because we'll talk about that here soon. We've got 2 Stock Up. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You're going to add 2 of those 5 to your hand, and then you're going to put the rest on the bottom in any order. Really good card. You'll notice this one's a proxy. I do have all of these ordered. We're just waiting in the mail. I have like 10 packages coming today. But pretty good card. We're going to add 2 of those 5 from deck to hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. Fixes your hand, so to speak. If you're 1 or 2 lands short, then you fix it. Another instant that got mixed up with my sorceries there, you've got Abandoned Attachments. This can go down to a single color instead of 2. This is never a brick, but I don't want to play 4 of it. So you may discard a card if you do draw 2. This deck really revolves around discard, and you'll see that here in a few minutes. But the draw there is nice. So even if you draw 2 of these on open, you can use your mana, discard 1 to draw 2 cards, and it sort of fixes your hand. Next, we have Spell Snare. Spell Snare is a counter spell with counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. Mana value equal to 2, if I could read today. So this is like if you go second, this is a card great to have in hand, because if you go second, they play land, you play land, they play land, they tap and cast. You tap your island, you cast Spell Snare, and it sort of just wastes their turn. So it's really good option. We do play one more counter spell. We play It'll Quench Ya. It's a 2-cost. It can counter, but the biggest problem it has is the controller can pay 2, and then it doesn't get countered. I could actually cut this card if it wasn't for the fact that it's an instant and a lesson and a counter spell. Even if you have to discard this with like your abandoned attachments and things like that, it's a good lesson to have engrave. And now we get into really the bulk of the deck. The biggest cards for the win con, your Monument to Endurance. So anytime you discard a card, and it's per copy, I'm going to draw, or I'm going to create a treasure token, or I'm going to make my opponent lose 3 life. So if I have all 4 of these out, I end up casting an Abandoned Attachments to make them discard, then they're going to hit with 12 life real quick. If I've already hit for life, then I'm going to draw a card, or I'm going to create that treasure token. And another way we discard is with our Artist Talents. We're going to play 4 Artist Talents as well. This can be a brick, but that's why we have some discard things, and you can actually discard it off itself. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card, and if you do, you get to draw. Really good. The card's really good on its own, but let's say we open 2 of them. I would probably play both, just in case my opponent's playing enchantment or artifact removal. This is going to keep my deck cycling, keep the discarding going. So it's you can't play less than 4. Next, and this sort of fixes the creature issue, because if you've noticed, we only play 2 creatures, and those creatures right now are Grand. So we're going to choose to play 2 Storm Chasers Talent. And what this does is when it's cast, you get to create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. So anytime you cast a non-creature card, it's going to get +1/+1 till the end of turn. That's an enchantment, a sorcery, an instant. The card's just very good. But this is where this card comes in. So let's say it's turn 2, you didn't open Grand, but you did open Storm Chasers and Boomerang. Well, turn 1, you're going to cast your Storm Chasers and you're going to get your token. So after you get your token, next turn, you're going to play another land. You're going to Boomerang Basics that Storm Chasers back to hand, and then you're going to tap your other island to play the Storm Chasers, and now you have 2 1/1 otters. So every time it's cast and enters, then you're going to create another otter. And now this guy, the original one, is a 3/3, while your new one's a 1/1. So you have a 3/3 that can swing because of its prowess. So that's where those boomerangs really come in. Plus, I'm getting that draw. So Storm Chasers sort of fix that. If you move the enchantment up, then you are welcome to take a sorcery or an instant from your graveyard and add it back to your hand. I'm going to go faster right here. These are just our lands. So currently we're playing 7 islands. I am playing 1 mountain. This could up depending on what else happens here, because I'm not a big fan of one of these. So 7 islands, 1 mountain. We are playing the best land here. We're playing 4 of the River Pyre. Card's just very good. When it enters, it's red, and that's why most of our instants are red, but as long as we control our mountain or an island, it becomes red or blue. We are playing Steam Vents. Pay 2 life, it can enter untapped, otherwise it enters tapped. This one I'm not a huge fan of is the Spire Bluff Canal. I've currently cut this to 3 in favor of one of the Storm Chasers talents. That way I can see that card a little more often. But this enters tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. So I don't love that. And then we have 2 1-ofs. We have a Multiversal Passage, which allows me to choose red or blue. And then we have an Agnicala. This card's big because of the 3 tap. You can draw, then discard. I've thought about upping this to 2, and I still might, but that's the main deck. I do have a side, but the side's a little wonky. So we're not going to look at that today. I usually don't do that until an event. I do plan on competing in my my locals regional championship qualifier probably within the next month. And this is the deck I would be playing. So after that competition, I'll make sure to bring this back and we'll talk about how it did, what I would change after that. But with some test hands, this deck's performed really well. So as always, we appreciate you guys supporting the channel, liking the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And hopefully we'll see you back here soon. Thanks for watching.